Here we are on the outside of the 2016 Chevy Impala 2LZ LTZ. Long name, good car. This one is the basically top of the line. I think there's a couple of interior options that it didn't have. However, it's finished out in a nice royalish blue. It's got the 20-inch wheels. It's got the HID headlights. It's pretty damn optioned out, and it's a good looking car. I really liked the redesign, especially where they came from with the previous generation car. It really changed it up quite a bit. The lines flow nice. This is probably the only questionable line, but it still looks good on the car. Coming around to the back, those are almost like a BMW 5 Series from 2009 taillight setup, and that's fine. I do like the dual exhaust tips, the way they're integrated into the bumper, versus a lot of them where you see the tips are underneath the bumper or on the side of the bumper. It's better this way. Thank you, Ted Britt, for letting me borrow the car. As I've said on multiple occasions, I think Chevrolet makes the best looking stock wheels. There are companies out there that make a glorious looking wheel for an aftermarket production, but in terms of the OEM manufacturers, especially the American ones, Chevrolet makes the best looking wheels. And I'll fight anybody who says different. This one has the dual panel sunroof. It's the skylight sunroof combo. This moves, this doesn't. So yeah, there you go. That's the exterior in a nutshell. I'm going to show you the trunk real quick, and then we will move to the inside. So here's the trunk of the car, and one thing I really like about this trunk, number one, it has a low lift-in height because the trunk lid goes all the way down versus some that stop, you know, about at taillight height. But the second thing I like is how flat the floor is. A lot of them, they go up a lot sooner. Usually they'll be flat from here to about here, and then they'll have a kick up, you know, for the rear axles and stuff. But because of the size of this vehicle and the way the suspension is set up in this, it doesn't have to sacrifice the load floor. So it's a giant flat floor back here. You can stuff all kinds of people. I mean, stuff back here. You could put dead bodies in there, just saying. So here you have the standard V6, 3.6 liter direct injection, variable valve timing. That's what VVT stands for. V6. It's actually pretty darn quiet. You're actually hearing the fans over the engine. So yeah, it's a good motor. It's been around for a while. It was in the Camaros and then all the standard usage now, and it's a pretty good motor. I like it. Today I thought I'd start the interior look around by looking at the window sticker, and as I said, it's got the 3.6 liter dual overhead cam V6. It has the 6-speed automatic transmission, and if you bought this vehicle just as it was, which means that it has just your standard features, none of the extra stuff, it would have had the 19-inch wheels versus the premium wheels, which this vehicle has, which are 20-inch. It would have been $35,540. That means you could have gotten this vehicle for $28,000 had it been just a basic 2LZ. However, it does have quite a bit of options. It's got a lot of options. $5,760 in options. Wow. One that I would always definitely suggest, especially since it's only $400, are the 20-inch wheels on this vehicle. I know that seems a little bit expensive, especially when you talk about replacing the tires down the road, but they make the car looks so much better because these wheel wells were designed for those wheels. Now you've got all this extra stuff which is part of the different packages, and I could take or leave all of these. They're nice to have. The adaptive cruise control, I've had cars with adaptive cruise control and I've never used them. Moonroof, you know how I feel about those. But the LTZ comfort and convenience package I probably would want, just because it's got the nice stuff, as well as the advanced technology package because I want the better audio system. The one thing I wish I had in my Mustang other than the Recaro seats would have been the better sound system. For some reason today, every time I'm trying to think of something's name, I keep screwing up. So as you can see, the overall rating on this one, it is a 5-star rated vehicle. It's, of course, only a 4-star in rollover. A lot of vehicles tend to only be a 4-star in rollover. Very few vehicles will be a 5-star, mainly because the roof is all basically flat. Actually, I almost think one with a sunroof might do slightly better, except for the glass, because when the factory does it, they cut and brace the metal, they fold it over, so it's almost like bead rolling metal. It makes that area stronger, so it doesn't bend as easily. but still, most vehicles only have a 4-star rating for a rollover. Most. Don't quote me. As I was saying on the drive, which I did first this time, the steering wheel is kind of ugly. You know, this is stupid. The size of these spokes is stupid. And I don't normally say that, but this is just an ugly wheel. I'm sure it looked fine back in 2011 or whatever when somebody designed it. But it kind of looks like a praying mantis's head that's smiling. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. All the controls are basically the same. Function controls for the screen. Cruise control, it is adaptive cruise, so you push that and change your gap. It's got the heated steering wheel. And of course on the back, and I'm not going to flip the phone around, you've seen it all the time, you have your controls for the stereo. Now this one has a few extra buttons on this side. Of course, like I said, the parking brake button, kind of a weird location, but it's not terrible since most people with automatics never use it. Trunk release, park assist, and lane departure warning. So big ass cubby hole here. Put your wallet, cell phone stuff in there. And just like the truck we looked at the one time, the Tahoe, this has one of those cool features where it doesn't work. Yeah, there you go. My windshield mount. But yeah, you can stick stuff in there, and you have a USB port back there. It's good for safekeeping. You have a valet mode that will lock out that button so they can't get into it. Down here, you have a wireless charging pad for cell phones. Couple of cup holders, your standard controls. Although it's weird that they put the traction control button here, but all the other buttons there. You'd think they would have had the traction control button there and moved the parking or the trunk release somewhere over here. Whatever, it's a little backwards, but it is what it is. Pretty good size center console. Couple of USBs down there with an aux jack and a power port. And it's kind of a cool finish. I like this. I don't know if it's supposed to simulate like an ash wood or something, but at least it's not fake carbon fiber and it's not brown fake wood trim. Stereo, of course, with navigation, Pandora. It's got all your typical stuff, Apple CarPlay, all that good stuff. Push button start, which they've all gone to. But this one actually does have the key still built into the fob. So it's a lot more convenient than those ones where you have to pull the top off to get the spare key out. That's good to have. So we're going to jump into the back seat now, take a look at the room. And as I was saying, this one is quite spacious in the back, especially for taller guys like me. As you can see, I fit no problem. I would have a little bit more headroom. It's got the cutout here, but I would have this much headroom all the way forward if it wasn't for the dual pane sunroof. But legroom, pretty good. As you can see, I'm sitting behind the driver's seat, and the driver's seat is back all the way. Plenty of room. This one has a full power port back here with a grounded socket versus just the cigarette lighter style, which is, oh, I thought that was it, but that was just the back of the seat. Very comfortable seats. Center armrest, like they all have. Come on now. It does have a pass-through, so you can put longer items in it. So that's nice. So you could dang near put sheets of plywood in here, or at least half-cut sheets. Yeah, it's pretty darn nice. Visibility's good, you know, when I'm not staring at the back of a seat. Although that's where you put a screen. Okay guys, so this time we're going out in the 2016 Chevy Impala 2LZ LTZ sedan. Obviously it's a sedan, they don't make a coupe Impala. Pardon me. This one has the 3.6 liter V6, so it's the top of the line engine choice. And acceleration is decent. It's got the 6-speed automatic, which most of the 2016s have. Very few 2016 model cars have the 8-speed. Basically, it's the Camaro and the Corvette, I think. Everything else makes do with the 6-speed. It's not a bad transmission, though. It's just everybody else has more ratios, so now Chevrolet is going to have more ratios. Eventually, we'll have 10, 12, 14 speeds. And everybody's car will just be running around going, rain, 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 rain. So, yeah. Anyways, first impressions, and I did technically drive this car before. I'm doing it again because the first time I did it, I was so angry that I couldn't continue filming. The first thing I noticed when I got into this vehicle and I'm driving it down the road is there is absolutely no dead spot in this steering, which is almost a bad thing for a car like this. I'm not saying that it's detrimental to anything. I'm just saying that because this is a large sedan that's probably just going to be a cruising vehicle, it should probably have a little bit more play in the steering than this one does. That being said, it's very direct, so just little inputs move the vehicle, which I don't mind at all. That's fine. Other than that, I love the seating position. It feels very comfortable. It's got a very, very ugly steering wheel, which you saw, but there's not much you can do about that. Maybe when they redesign the car in another year or so, they'll put a better steering wheel in it. But other than that, it's too bad that so many of the mid-size cars have gotten as good as they have. Pardon me. Because a lot of these full-size cars, like the Taurus, this Impala, and can't really say anything about Chrysler because, let's face it, the Charger and the 300 are still way better than the Dart. But they've gotten so good that they're starting to supplant these bigger cars. Plus, they're so damn big, they're on the edge of being too big to be considered midsize anyway. But this one, I mean, last of its breed, it's a really nice car. I like the way it rides. Has a bigger car ride to it. The brakes are nice. This one's an LTZ, so it's got the bigger wheels on it. And it doesn't hurt the ride at all. Even with the shorter sidewall, it's not bad because they actually have plenty of play. That's pretty. Anyway, so yeah, if I had a choice and I needed just a daily driver big car, I'd go with a bigger car like this, or the 300 or the Charger. Taurus is a little bit of an older platform. It's even older than the Impala is. So I'd probably actually, unless you get the SHO, not recommend the regular Taurus. Even the limited all-wheel drive doesn't have enough motor to handle as big a vehicle as it is. So here's an off-ramp. We're going to be taking it, again, like I normally do, just a little bit over, you know, just your average driving speed. You know, I don't know many people that actually go exactly the off-ramp speed limit, but I like to see how it handles bumps in off-camber positions and things like that. Unfortunately, I'm stuck behind somebody, but still, the body roll is pretty decent. It rides really nice. It's not like bouncing across any of the jolts, across any of the joints in the road, so I like that. The 6-speed automatic, it's pretty good to shift down. It didn't hesitate really at all, unlike that, what was that I was driving? It was the Traverse. Yeah, as I recall, the Traverse, which had the same basic transmission, was a lot more hesitant to downshift. This one just kind of went ahead and just did it. So I like that. Headroom, even with the sunroof, it's pretty good. I could probably lower the seat a little bit more. I just adjusted it basic to my size. That's why the seat belt's actually right on top of my shoulder. Decent sight lines. This pillar, for me, because of how tall I am, is right next to my eyeballs. But the mirrors are a nice size, so I can see around it. So as I was saying before, I'm going to do some pros and cons. Pro, it is a very comfortable ride. It's a very quiet ride. It does everything it's supposed to well. Con, it's a little bit expensive for what it is. For example, this one comes in at $42,000 before rebates. Don't take that for face value though, because actually today, Friday, is the last day, but this vehicle right now is almost $8,400 off sticker, so this actually would be closer to like $33,700, something like that. At that price, this car is a steal, but at 42, it's just, we're not going to talk about that. Pro, good sight lines, good visibility. Con, I think the dashboard sits a little bit too high in comparison to where the hood line is, because from where I'm sitting, the hood is actually lower than the dashboard line. And while that is pretty typical, what I mean is the very back end where the windshield is, the dashboard is higher than even where that part of the hood is. And I don't really like that because it gives you a false sense of where the end of the hood is. But a lot of manufacturers do that, so take it or leave it. I know European market vehicles and cars designed to sell over there, like the new Mustang, they all have actually a raised hood on them because they have to meet pedestrian crash ratings. However, this car was designed before then, so it does not currently have that problem or that necessity, so it does not meet that standard. Pro, it actually has plenty of power, gets up and goes. I can't remember the exact figure off the top of my head, and once I figure it out, I'll throw an annotation right about here. Con, it's not the best fuel economy. It's only rated at 22 combined. It does have a 29 miles per gallon highway rating, but that's more down to the transmission than it is the fuel efficiency of the engine. And in town, you'll be lucky if you break 19. So it's a V6 automatic vehicle that's just front wheel drive, yet it gets actually less gas mileage than my Mustang on average, because my Mustang average is 22 miles per gallon. So there you go. Con, the parking brake button is all the way up on the dashboard. It's not on the center stack or anything. Here you have your heated and cooled seats. Ooh, they're cooled. I'm turning that on. I don't know why I didn't have those on yet. Pro, you're gonna have plenty of room in the back. So if you haul around people, if you're a livery service or a taxi service, when I was working for Ford, we used to sell a lot of Tauruses to taxi services, and that's also because of the base price of these vehicles. This vehicle had a base price of $35,500, so that's pretty darn high in comparison to a regular trim Taurus, which would have been 26, 27. That's why these didn't get used for like the Washington Flyers, who are the big airport taxi service around here. So again, it's one of those, you get something, you lose something kind of a thing. But it also means that you're not seeing these everywhere. They're usually used as a higher end vehicle. I've seen these when they're all blacked out with the nicer wheels being used for livery limo services, because they have almost the same room in them as the old Crown Vics did, and that's a positive. So my conclusion on this vehicle is, I like it. I would definitely recommend it for people that like a full-size vehicle. Again, and I stress this every time after I recommend something, so you'll hear this verbatim, or ad nauseum, not verbatim, but ad nauseum. I am not suggesting that you buy this one, but it's definitely one to check out if you're going to look at, say, a brand new Camry, or do they even make the Avalon anymore? I don't know. Or a Lexus LS, although it's not quite as refined, or of course a Charger or a 300 or vehicles like that. Now, of course, you can get a SRT Charger for about the same money as this car, normally on sticker, but this car does beat it in terms of sales and rebates. Pulling back in, I would like to thank Ted Britt, and if you have any questions, leave them down below. If you have any comments, leave those down below. Love to hear from you guys. Love to answer some questions from you guys. Thank you guys for the subscribers that have come in so far. And yeah, until we talk again, I will see you later. I also really quickly wanted to say thank you guys to the ones that have subscribed already, because I know a few of you have come on board. I've lost a couple, picked up a few more. We're getting closer to the 50. As soon as we hit the 50, I'll do that giveaway for the subscription. And again, I'm not asking you to subscribe. Just subscribe if you like the videos. And at 50 subscribers, I will pick one of the 50 subscribers at random using a random number generator, and I will give you, the winner, a free subscription to a magazine, whatever you want. Car, video game, health and beauty, Maxim, whatever you want, you will figure it out. So until then, talk to you later.